Education background is from the time I was 9 years of age, I led parades in Ontario, Eastern Ontario, in the Mohawk regalia, and along with a lot of Native people behind me in their regalia as well, for any parades that was being held on in and around the reserve and on the reserve. And my grandfather put me in stylized dancing when I was doing native dancing, Mohawk dancing, and learning it and teaching it. I was teaching this Mohawk dancing to small children when I started out. But he had put me in this stylized dancing. I took a liking to it, which was tap, jazz, and baton twirling. I got my teacher's papers in Watkins Glen, New York for baton twirling, and I got my teacher's equivalency to the gold and silver medal in tap and jazz out of Toronto. Teacher's papers for that. So I opened the dance studio in Ontario, and then when I moved out west here, I opened the dance studio at the Friendship Center for the Native students, and I had a small class taking baton lessons from me. Then I moved to Lake Cowichan and opened the dance studio there and run the dance studio for 10 years.
Oh wow, what year was that?
That would, oh my goodness. Lake Cowichan, I started in 1984, and I taught right up till 87 was the biggest year. 87 was my top of the year. 88, I got sick and I couldn't teach. I had to close the dance studio down in 88. But my adult people taking training from me in jazz and tap and baton would refuse to quit. So I verbally taught for 5 years. My last dance was in 95. But I couldn't feel my feet touching the floor because of the MS.
Yeah. When were you diagnosed with MS?
92.
92.
And my last dance was 95.
Wow.
Yeah. And now with all this new things happening, God willing, everything will be okay, and I'll be able to either try to fundraise if necessary, if I get qualified to be able to have the surgery, which has just happened recently.
Wow.
In various parts of the world. Canada, not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. They're doing a lot of research on it.
Mm-hmm.
She tells me that someone's going to come into your life and they're going to quote "Mother is the root of the tree." Give them that painting I give you of entitled "Mother is the root of the tree," and you'll remain a friend of theirs for the rest of your life. Mother passed away in 85, November 25th of 85, and I met this lady in November of 86. Opened the door of the dance studio, and I knocked over a lady. And she was all dressed up, and she had some papers in her hand, and it was raining out there. And when I opened the door, went to help her up, opened the door open and help her up, my buttons all came undone. Of course, I got a dance uniform on. It's all black leotard, everything, and I'm bending down. And then I realize what happened, and I say, "Oh my God!" I says, "I'm a dance teacher. I teach dancing." And she said, "I would sure like to see it." Well, I invited her in. She followed me in, and she sat on a straight chair, and she was just prim and proper, and I didn't click in right away. So it was the last class of the day. My assistant teacher, because I had people hired under me, 2 assistant teachers actually, a bookkeeper and a person who changed the music all the time. And so I asked them to put some music on after the last class was over. And I would dance for this lady who was very stone-faced individual, right? And so I start dancing, and I went through a few bars of tap. Nothing, like a jazz, ta-da, at the end of it, nothing, no reaction or anything. Baton twirling, tap and baton. And then I said to my assistant, "Oh, just put on an old-time step dancing piece of music, fiddle music." So I step danced, and I know I was pretty good, and I finished, and ta-da, at the end of it, the whole thing, no reaction. As I walked out of that dance studio, I says, I tried to make you happy, I tried to make you smile, but obviously I didn't do that. I feel very sorry for you. I says, but I have a family and I have children and I have to go home and you can see your way out the door. Well, she gets up. As I'm going out the door, she stands up and she says, I will see you in here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And so I go home and I'm complaining, and my husband says, take her up on it. Take her up on it. Cancel your classes. Just see what's going to happen. You never know. So I canceled the classes and everything, and I showed up there with my assistant dance teacher, and she says, before I dance, I like to exercise. My assistant and I were laid out flat on the floor. 15 minutes later, she's 56 years old. She's going around the dance studio on the floor there with doing the splits way up high, just beautifully. And hour and 10 minutes later, then she's ready to dance. She had danced with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers when they toured Europe. She had danced with all the big-time people, Noel Coward and, you name it. She danced in front of the Queen Elizabeth's first command performance in England. Oh, yes, big-time person. And to make a long story short, 3 weeks later, I'm looking at her saying, I would like to dance for you. And she says that's the hardest thing to do for a dancer. Because she had stuck around to train me how to do no-bounce dance style aerobics and basic ballet. And to add to my tap, jazz, and baton, and all those different types of dancing. So we made a date, and I danced in front of her, and as I dropped the baton down after a 7-minute performance, I froze because she said, there's only one thing I have to tell you. Always remember, mother is the root of the tree. Right to this day, I just talked to her last week. We talked on the phone for a long time. Yeah.
Wow.
She lives in Prince George.
And she got the painting?
Yes. She is originally from Guernsey, the English Channel. Yeah.
And where did your grandmother get the painting?
My grandmother got the painting from her cousin, who was a Ojibwe artist, who drew this painting and entitled it "Mother is the Root of the Tree." So that painting is quite a big size, quite a beautiful, beautiful painting. It's about a woman, a native woman, within the tree, the strength of the tree, and what it gives, what it means to Native people and life in general. So she ended up with the painting.
And what did she think?
Oh, she was just, she right to this day, she says to me, Linda, I don't know where that came from. And she says, I believe that when I told her the story, she, afterwards, she says, well, there is, there's got to be something up there. She's not behind, but it doesn't matter whether you are or you aren't, in dealing with people, dealing with the friends and getting to know people and sharing this wonderful message, actually. Yeah.
And that was your dream.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the top of my career. Yeah. After that, then it was a short. I had received choreography. I had received mega loads of tape. I had Phantom of the Opera when it first came up before it ever arrived in North America, because she's one of the people that Europe sends pieces of music like that to review it. She was the consultant to dance teachers from Alaska to Mexico.
Wow.
So it was quite extensive training.
That's amazing. And she trained you.
Oh, yes. No bounce dance style aerobics.
I know.
Yeah.
It's irreplaceable.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
you can't get it anywhere.
And basic ballet.
And your grandmother had that insight too.
Yes.
I wonder if she had a vision or something.
She was
just
on her
knew.
deathbed, and that's what she said to me. And when I put everything together, my goodness, my dream was that at 17. Well, you forget that dream when it doesn't happen, but then all of a sudden, she tells me that someone's going to come into your life and they're going to quote "Mother is the root of the tree." Give them that painting I give you, of entitled "Mother is the root of the tree," and you'll remain a friend of theirs for the rest of your life. Well, always in the back of my mind, I had told my assistant teacher about that, but I didn't tell anybody else. You know. Nobody else knew about that. And then when she said that, I was just, I froze. Just a few minutes there, I just couldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many years later, after being 17, was it?
17 years.
Really?
Yes, yes. 17, and right to the day, 17 years later. My grandmother passed away in 85, November 25th of 85, and I met this lady in November of 86. Yeah.